in your responses. It's also entertaining because it breaks down barriers. If you make a mistake, what is your typical response if you do something wrong? You laugh it off and whatever. It's a great way to get the students to accept the fact that they can fail and move on. Okay? All right, so our last...
Not to mention, it's also a great way to learn everyone's name. I'm sure you're never going to forget your partner's name at this point. All right, but we do have one more. So obviously there was one number there that we're going to replace with a category. So the category we're going to pick is fruit.
And now the rule is, instead of saying one, you have to say a fruit, but you are not allowed to repeat the name of the fruit that your partner is. So you have to come up with new fruit with every single time. So it'll look something like this.
Apple. Dan.
Banana. Nick.
Orange. Dan. See, it's getting a little more difficult. All right, that's a shot. Your big section. Cool.
Okay, so everyone can sit down again. So, how did that feel? What did you get out of that? How did that feel, other than making everyone laugh and smile and you get to know your neighbor? How did it feel? Do you feel like you had to listen intently? I hope so. In order to pay attention to what's being said, and you really start to pay attention to the other person. Most of us, when we're in a conversation, the minute the other person says something, we're automatically thinking of a response. So they might have only said the first half of their sentence, and we're thinking about how to respond to that, and no longer listening to what they said. And so when we're working with partners, a community partner in particular, it's really, really essential that listening skills with our students are developed so that they can engage with the community partner as effectively as possible. So now that we've got that done, we're going to do a few more activities a little bit later, but we're going to talk a little bit about what community-engaged learning actually is. So in a nutshell, community-engaged learning is really the idea that we bring a community partner into the academic setting. The community partner typically presents the class with a project, any type of project. It doesn't have to be computer science. Typically, this is something that occurs in the social sciences. It is very well used in social sciences and humanities programs because it connects their disciplines and their curriculum with real-world problems. At the University of Guelph, this has included students doing studies on food and food security and hunger in the community. It's included, I believe, projects on drug consumption in the community, but all with a social science or humanities lens to it. The other part about community-engaged learning is that it combines the standard learning outcomes that the class would normally have with the needs of the community. So we somehow bring in that thing that the community needs and make sure it works, that the students are still going to get the learning outcomes that we would expect them to have for the course. It combines the community expertise, it combines the faculty expertise, and the students as they're learning to try to solve a problem. The big thing here is that it is inherently interdisciplinary because the people who are coming into campus don't necessarily have academic training. They might be specialists through lived experience. They might be specialists from on-the-ground work with the community. It could be related to trying to get people in the community fed, housed, dealing with poverty, dealing with public health. So the people who are coming into the classroom are not necessarily specialists in the discipline that you're training them in. So it's really neat because it forces this interdisciplinarity. But the question I have is, how many of you consider yourselves interdisciplinary? Just by a quick show of hands. Who thinks they're interdisciplinary? Okay. My next question, I think it's my next question. Yeah, okay. So before I even ask this one, did you learn how to be interdisciplinary in school? Like, were you formally in a classroom taught how to be interdisciplinary? Most often, no, is the answer. Your students are expected to just dive in and figure stuff out, right? We don't normally have activities that force students to become interdisciplinary by giving them skills that they require to be interdisciplinary. We did some research in Canada, and much of the interdisciplinary research that's going on is, oh, okay, we've got a biology group here and we've got a stats group here, and they come together and they do some research, and that's considered interdisciplinary. And I'm not saying that it's not, but it's assuming the students and faculty already know how to do this. And in my opinion, we're doing a disservice to the students by forcing them to take on these types of projects without giving them the skills to achieve those projects. So do we teach the students how to be interdisciplinary? Not really, especially in STEM courses, in computer science, mathematics, statistics. I don't think we really do an effective job of giving them the skills to be interdisciplinary. So briefly, what skills do you think students should require to be interdisciplinary? We've already talked about one, is the ability to listen really well. What else might a student need to be interdisciplinary?
然后，对于其实对于一般民众啊，你那些监测站的名字，我永远搞不清楚在哪里，所以我们尝试做一件事情，就是我们把监测站打在地图上。我们希望帮助所有的人在看的时候会知道说，那到底就是污染的状况是怎么样。比如说头前期的监测站，你点下来之后，它会秀出来。你有看到这张图在动，就是它会秀出来说 ，OK， 那个就是监测站在哪里，然后每个监测站它大概污染的状况是如何 ，OK。然后这边有河川污染指数、新丰溪 ，OK， 然后2013年、2014年、2015年 ，OK。好，所以我等一下会花一点点时间带大家说 ，OK， 我要怎么去做这个操作。就是当然不可能全部操作完，但是至少让你知道说你可以怎么样去做这个操作，而且你可以怎么样把这个东西 publish 到 web 上面去。就是目前微软在这一块的处理上面，就是你的资料 publish 出去，你不介意所有人的看到的话，这件事情是免费的。就是你下载一个 Power BI Desktop 在处理这件事情，然后把这东西 upload 到网络上面去，然后你不需要任何的权限控管或什么，这件事情是免费的。然后当你需要权限控管的时候，它开始去做收费。然后如果你对于BI 的软体有一点熟悉的话，就是有另外一家厂商叫 Tableau， 它有一个 Tableau Public 是可以做类似的东西。
As an entirely different way of looking at the world that knows a lot about a particular product or project that the students in computer science may not know about.
So now we've explored a little bit about what community-engaged learning and community-engaged scholarships are. Next, we're going to try and look at it from the lens, from the context of computer science. So what do computer science students learn? I'm sure, how many people in this room are computer scientists? Oh, nice. It's actually less than I would have thought. So I actually just graduated my undergrad in computer science about 2 years ago, so I am somewhat qualified to answer this question. But we generally learn these very hard skills. You know, I learned C, Java, PHP, MySQL, all these different languages and different syntaxes. We learned database management and database design and how to work through all these kind of discrete problems. But I also had a minor in business and in economics, and it was amazing how many kind of curriculum thing, how many different lessons that we would learn that were the same thing across these different disciplines, but they just use different jargon. They use different phrases, different vernacular to get the same idea across. And so throughout my degree, I was starting to hone my programming skills. I was becoming a better developer. But the better I got at developing and the better I got at programming, the worse I got at communicating what I was doing with all of my peers in different disciplines. The more my walls were kind of starting to build up as my skills grew. So we learned a bunch of things throughout my degree, identifying client feedback, and again, I'm just starting to build up these walls, and that doesn't help me work for an actual client. It helps me work for a computer scientist. But as most computer scientists know, we're not here to work for computer scientists. We're here to build digital systems for people that don't have skills in computer science. So just as important as it is to be a developer and to be a programmer and to work at these objective, hard skills, we need those soft skills. So what if instead of the professor being a client, what if we could build a community partnership and have a community leader come in and instead they're our client? Now all of a sudden we're starting to work on these interdisciplinary skills at the same time as we're honing our programming and development skills. And it starts to become much more realistic and much more contextualized instead of me learning the hard skills, then going out into the business and having to figure out my way to understand what the client wants.
So we started asking the question, could we incorporate community-engaged learning, incorporate the development of interdisciplinary skills, knowledge mobilization skills, and social innovation skills within the classroom while the students were still learning the things they had to do for their typical course? And so we asked, could we do that? And based on the past 6 years, the answer to that is yes. It's not easy, but it is possible. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go through some exercises to show you how we achieve some of these goals to engage the students and make sure that they are getting these transferable soft skills.
他其实有去做一个母子公司的一个整理 ，OK， 所以对我们来讲，我们就是把这家公司跟透明竹节公司去做互相的查找，然后把这个东西把它串起来。好，所以说，我们一开始是从局处的角度，所以以不同的事业别，就是可能水污染、空气污染，我们都帮它做。可是细的部分，我们用水污染往下去做。好，然后，所以我们后来尝试做这件事情，就是财阀与营运资料的揭露。比如说，这是某一间公司，它当季税后是189.10亿。好，我现在有点没办法现场转过来，10、20、100。应该是1兆多吧，然后他被重罚了1万块 ，OK， 好，所以我们尝试去做这件事情。但你其实要做到，它有些东西要去做 ，OK， 然后我们的code就写在下面，我简单跟他，所以你一开始你会把环保署开放资料处理好，说取出公司名称，然后你可以去透明竹机爬取相关的资料，然后这些 R 的code我们就写在下面。可以去做参考，然后你接下来开始要针对目标公司去爬，比如说公司的统编、它的地址跟名字，然后你在透明竹机拿到那个公司统编的时候，因为环保署里面没有统编，它只有管制的编号，所以你透过透明竹机的这个
their community partner or for the community partner. So there's a lot of these different activities, but then they get into their groups and they start doing the things they need to do to solve the problem. We've got team-based research, so the students have to work in teams. They have to work in multiple teams where one team might be focused on front-end development, one team might be focused on database, and one team might be focused on something else, and they all have to work together and communicate effectively. And finally, there's this added piece of reflection where the students are asked to think about what they did and write down what they think about what they did. It's a bit of a fuzzy, touchy-feely sort of thing, but reflection has been shown to actually help students understand the material better because it forces them to think about what they actually learned. Did they have biases going into it? Did their mind change about something? it helps them to absorb the information that they've learned.
And just as an add-on to that, as simple as this all may seem, it's amazing how much resistance we get when we pull this stuff into the classroom. Mm-hmm. Like it seems so simple. There's like 10 words there, but the second we bring it to a computer science classroom, everyone suddenly is disengaged, and we really have to enforce these skills. So we've been doing a lot of talking. So we're going to move into our next little activity. So I'll get Dan to explain this, but if anybody needs a pen and paper, this activity does require a pen and paper. So if you need one, just throw up your hand, and I can come around and bring you one.
Okay, so this activity is about collaboration and the difference between a requirement and an instruction. We don't want them building instructions when they're collecting requirements. An instruction means that every single person is going to produce the exact same thing because the instructions tell you how to do it. We want them to discuss what needs to be built. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at some requirements here. This does double, though, as a collaboration and sort of opening ourselves up to other ways of looking at the world. So it doubles as that. But this is your task. So based on these instructions, you need to draw this person. This is Henry. Henry wants you to draw his picture. So Henry tells us that his body is oval-shaped. He has a large mouth with 8 pointy teeth. 4 of them are in his upper jaw. 4 of them are in his lower jaw. He has 2 arms that have 2 fingers each. He has 7 blue spots on his belly. He has 2 legs that are slightly bowed away from the center line of his body. He has 2 wings, each with 3 points on the trailing edge. And he has 2 eyes, each of which is on its own stalk extending from his head. So take a moment, read those again, and start drawing Henry. Don't worry, this is not an art competition. Just draw. It's not a problem. And we give this to the students, and of course they giggle. They're like, what does this have to do with computer science? But this is like requirements. I'm not...
这个资料，你按 OK 之后，它会就帮你把，你看它就帮你把资料猜出来 ，OK。所以如果你本身是一个不太会写程式，然后你觉得你目前程式上手的时间没有你想象中快的时候，你可以来这样做。然后还有另外一个优点，就是以前你如果在用 Excel 最痛苦的地方，其实你根本没办法 debug， 因为你所有东西操作完之后就操作完，就是哪边出错，为什么你完全不知道，或者是你哪里打错或写错，你完全不知道，然后你整张表改了它就改。可是，在 Power BI 它右边这边，就是你做的每个 step， 它都呈现在上面。所以我刚才做了一个把栏位去做切分的部分，但其实我其实不想要做这件事情，我只需要这边去做打叉。OK， 你就看到它回去。然后通常你在资料处理很多的时候，你可以有一些 minor 的改变，你可以回去前面某几步，在这边按下去之后，就是你可以去做操作的一些调整。好，我觉得它的几个比较大的好处，然后还有它提供的功能比较多。然后我们现在其实只需要一些栏位，我这边按一下 Choose Columns。因为我在其中一个步骤，然后按说我
就是大盛会，也许中间那边有排班点状况，没关系。可是到你完成载课以后呢，我帮你做精准的行销，你可以自己衡量说，我有个30分钟之内哪个地方有客人，跟分析，一旦发生的话，中校夫妻上的转成部分高达了400多倍。换句话说，这件事情是可以通过数据的力量来改善建设生计的。那好，我们就一起跳坑吧。后来我们就真的和电脑工会、和高雄市政府一起去拜会建车业者。那我们设定的目标是高雄市的建车业者，跟台北市不太一样。高雄的建车业者其实草根性比较重一点，因为过去来说他们是一个地方的服务单位，他们是一个营利单位。所以老实说， 穿着西装走入那个就是充满烟味的会议室，或者是会嚼槟榔的那个，我也蛮害怕的。可是当他知道说，原来这个事情是可以到用市政府，甚至包含业者有更好的方式的话，他们居然免费的提供我们将近1年的资料进行分析。这件事情我们想也想不到，电脑工会也没想过，高雄政府也没有想过这样的事情。所以说，后续我们真的签订了将近5家的监测业者，大家一起来媒合这样的事情。只有一个条款是什么？就是说 ，A 业者他希望说我把资料给你，你不要把我的营业的特性的部分公布给其他业者，会造成我的恶性竞争。我们也理解这样的事情，所以说后续在做资料交换和应用的部分，我们都把这个各自的部分尽量不要掉。既然在讲公民力量，我们就不得不去重视相关的治安议题。所以说，另外一个场次，如果大家有兴趣的话，可以去听。那后续的部分，甚至
到底我家附近那个违章工厂到底有没有影响我在喝的水？应该会吧。如果今天你住家附近，就是台湾有蛮多田旁边是有一个工厂的，所以我其实很 care。我很直接告诉大家，很难过的是，因为我们测站这个东西当初好像是水利署在做的，水利署最大的目的其实是想要看那整条河川的状况，所以它的放的点是上游、中游、下游，所以它的测站根本没有离工业区很近。然后你到工业或者是违章的工业区很近，所以等于违章的工厂，它的水放出来之后，它经过可能小河啊、大河流到测站的时候，其实都被稀释掉了。就你其实，除非你就是在那工厂前面抓，不然你应该是抓不到。不过我讲一下，就是如果今天这几个工厂是在科学园区或工业区之内，就是园区原则上是有很强烈的规定，在它的排放口上面是有一个监测，所以原则上应该是不会有问题。但是在今年3、4月的时候，我不知道你们有看到环保署去抓6轻的那个空气排放，然后它那空气排放是直接在那个烟囱口嘛，然后那个讯息直接丢到环保署去。可是其实那家厂商帮6轻做了一个 payroll 的 system， 就是他们内部中控是有实际上那个烟囱。
Now, someone in social and political science will read this and go, yeah! How many in this room have any clue what this says? There might be one person, okay. Most of us look at this and we're like, there's a lot of big words in here. And we're not saying these big words are bad. These words are used so that we can quickly communicate within our discipline. But when it comes to talking to people outside of our discipline, it completely stops communication. Because if someone said this to me, I'd be like, I don't know what you're saying. And I'd probably pretend I knew what they were saying, and I'd get nothing out of the conversation other than I'd be nodding, going, yeah, sure, you know. So it's not helpful when working with a community partner. So your challenge is to write something like this based on your discipline. And when you're done writing this, what I would like you to do is to translate it into something meaningful that the rest of us would actually understand. So take some concept from whatever discipline you're from and quickly write a short sentence. It doesn't have to be this elaborate. Just write a quick sentence from your discipline, say it to your neighbor, and then translate it for them so that they can actually understand it. Okay? So take some time.
Yeah. 就是他可能点不足之后，他会就是做zoom in跟zoom out。好，有人想要学这个但没跟上吗？可以举手。没有吗 ？OK， 好。然后所以对我来说，我可能需要的是你去看到我们那时候做的内容，我们实际上有把测试之后的资料列出来，而且我们有放了一个那个 KPI 的线 ，OK， 好，所以你可以在 这边选择，也许你要 line 的图、点的图或 bar 的图都可以。当你点下来之后，他会问你说你的轴线要放什么。我把测站名称放上来，然后我想要看河川污染指数。OK， 好，他把河川污染指数呈现上来。然后我提醒大家，就是在预设的时候它是用加总，所以原则上你可能也许用平均或中位数。好，我不太确定现场的人对于平均跟中位数熟不熟悉。我问一下，就是，好，我举一个非常经典的例子。为什么大家在笑？就是因为我发现这件事情好像不一定每个人都知道。虽然我记得国中可能数学上学期就讲过，高中数学的第一学期的上学期也讲过。好，年初的时候，我应该讲说，我觉得。
Topic. So we're training people to build these walls and not to build bridges.
So we're going to just move on. So that, if you've got a technical sentence and you want to share with us later, we'll take a look at it. But we're going to move on just because of time. We're going to talk about some of the case studies that have happened at the University of Guelph. So there's 3 in particular. I've got 3 videos. They're all in the slides, so if you want to watch the videos later, please do. The very first one is a project called Farm to Fork. And the general idea was I was working with a community partner. In this particular situation, it was, their logo's not up there, but it was the Guelph Wellington Food Roundtable. And they had identified a problem that upwards of 1 in almost 5 households in Guelph were not getting enough food. And Guelph is a relatively affluent community, so this is a pretty staggering number. Initially, we brought this to the students, and I thought the students normally learn about building computer games, and I'm like, they're gonna kill me bringing this type of a topic into the classroom. I don't know anything about food insecurity. They don't know anything about food insecurity. And in fact, when I first heard the term food insecurity, I thought it had something to do with bioterrorism. I had no idea it had to do with hunger and making sure people got enough to eat. So the general idea, though, is that we brought this problem to the classroom, and the challenge to the students was how can the students build a system that will allow people in the community to know what food is actually needed? We have food banks and food pantries in the community, but often what happens is they get things like Kraft dinner, like macaroni and cheese, dried beans, and pasta as the typical donation. And while those are all great and wonderful, they do not make for a nutritious diet. And so what the community partner wanted the students to do was to develop a system that would allow the people who could donate to actually see the grocery list of what people needed. Simple thing. It was all about communication. And so that's what the students developed. So there's a video on here. I'm not going to get into all the details of it just because it'll take forever. So that was one of the projects. So the video here is actually a 10 or 15-minute documentary. We also had a project, students to basically go out and collect food during Halloween. So they go out, they collect food on Halloween. They call it trick or eat as opposed to trick or treat. And the general idea is that they collect food for the food banks. The problem, though, is that all of this nationally was done with paper, pen and paper. And so the organization was trying to manage thousands of students to go out and collect food on Halloween. And so our students worked with them to begin the development of a system that they can actually start using to manage that entire process. The last project, we will show you this video, or at least part of it, was with a local partner called Community Living Cambridge. Now, Community Living Cambridge is an organization that works with young adults who are on the fetal alcohol spectrum of disorders. And so these are young adults, 18, 19 years old, who are basically now adults and have to live in the world, but they have developmental disabilities because of the fetal alcohol spectrum disorder that whichever one they might have. And so what the community partner wanted was a medication reminder device, something that would allow these people to remember to take their medication, to make positive health decisions in light of their conditions. So we'll show, hopefully this video plays.
Just as an addition, one really important thing that CLC wanted from this application as well is there's a lot of medication reminder apps already on the market. They wanted some sort of application that engaged their users and made them feel like they were making the decision to take their medication and connected them with other individuals. And this was a really important part of their system and something that a lot of our students really had to work at and kind of iron out all these wrinkles to build a system that could accomplish this. And so this was a team that did a fantastic job, and I always like to show this video when we teach the class in separate years, because what you'll notice from this video is that they're really putting themselves in the shoes of their users as well as their client. And before they got into any implementation, they understood what they were building.
So we're going to stop it there. But what you can see here is that the students have gone through the process that would be normal in a software design classroom. They've collected requirements, they've built prototypes, but what they've done in addition to that is that they've worked with a community partner. They actually were in the classroom on at least 4 separate occasions, and the students were constantly in contact with them through Slack. And this allowed the students to actually build something that was meaningful for the community partner, but they had to do this with people who don't speak computer science. So they had to learn all of these communication skills and collaboration skills and planning skills and team leadership skills in the classroom. And that's what these activities that we were going through today, we've developed in order to help achieve this.
I'd also like to add, these are third-year students that often haven't built anything like this. And because we empowered them and gave them, and they felt a sense of ownership over their product, and they felt proud of it, that all of a sudden they were able to accomplish things in development and in programming that wouldn't have been able to be accomplished in any other sort of classroom. Plus, they actually got a real product out of it.
So how is this actually, what has actually happened with this type of a course? The community is super engaged with this idea because they see the ability for not-for-profits and charitable organizations to actually get ahead and get something accomplished that they don't normally have the opportunity to do because they don't have the resources to build the things that they need. So the community over the last number of years has actually donated well over $80,000 to the university to support students who, when they're done this course, can continue developing the product through undergraduate research assistantships and that sort of thing. It also allows us to go to conferences to demonstrate how this is done, gets computers and all that kind of stuff. The students have also been received numerous different awards. They've received 40 Under 40 awards in Guelph. They've received Be the Change awards, Emily Hayes Community Partnership Awards, the Gordon Nixon Leadership Award, and it goes on. I don't remember what they are because there's so many. There's the Weingar Volunteer Award, the Young Innovator Award, the UGFA Teaching Award. All of these things keep building because the students are no longer just computer scientists. They are civically engaged computer scientists. And the community is recognizing that they are different, and they deserve the recognition. So, best practices, because how do we actually get this done? So, it is not easy. I won't sugarcoat it. It's a lot of work, and it means that the faculty member have a lot more stuff to do, and the TAs have a lot more stuff to do. This is typically the course timeline, what the students would experience in a 12-week course. So in the first 4 weeks, they're learning about problem identification and planning. Then they finalize their planning in weeks 5 to 8 and begin development on whatever it is that they're building. And in the last 3 to 4 weeks of class, they finalize their code and finish up demos, typically with the professor as the client. In a community-engaged course, the timeline is significantly different. Everything begins about 3 to 4, even 6 months prior to the course beginning, because every semester is different, because every semester has a new community partner. So early on, 4 to 6 months before the course begins, like between January and March, I'm usually getting questions from community partners who want to bring their challenge to the classroom. It's my responsibility to then vet those projects to make sure that the projects are sufficient enough to reach the learning objectives of the course. I can't just have a simple website because that's not going to allow the students to actually learn and master the skills they need to learn. Once that's done, about 1 to 3 months before, it's all about setting expectations. So I've selected the project, we've figured out how to map the needs of the community partner to the learning outcomes of the course, and then we have to set expectations because the students will not finish the project in 12 weeks. It's not feasible. The very first time I taught the course, I didn't think to warn the students about this, and at the end of the semester, after producing a product that the community raved about, and after getting donation after donation to help them continue building it, I asked the students, are you proud of what you've accomplished? And almost half of the students said no. And I was like, what? And they said no because they expected to finish the project in 12 weeks. I'm like, no. So now I know I have to build that into the course to manage the expectations. So 1 to 3 months prior, this is mostly setting expectations for me and setting expectations with the community partner. Then the class begins. So what you just saw in the previous slide, that's all in here, but the community partner takes part in all of this. After the course is complete, it's often the case that several of the students want to do independent study courses, and they take on the project a little bit further and get more course credit for it. So the projects can continue living, and out of the 6 times I've taught the course, 4 of the projects have continued beyond the classroom. It means a lot of work because I've got now 4 projects that I have to manage, but it's a lot of fun and the students get a lot out of it. So this is what I experience and what the community partner experiences. It's really important that every class contributes to the final deliverable. So the students are actively doing things to achieve their learning outcome and to achieve what they need to achieve for the community partner. Normally, this is another really important thing. Normally, the professor, teaching assistants, and the students are really the only actors in the classroom. In a community-engaged scholarship classroom, the community partner is an active participant. They come in at the beginning of the semester and they talk to the students and say, this is our challenge. I don't tell the students what the challenge is. The community partner comes in and they do it. And the students then have an entire class to ask the community partner as many questions as they possibly can to figure out exactly what needs to be built. Throughout the semester, there's constant interaction with the community partners so that we can make sure that we are on course and doing what they need. And then they are in the classroom for paper prototyping sessions, wireframing sessions, and final presentations of the final product that the students have completed, or whatever they've managed to complete by the end of the semester. So community partners are absolutely essential in the classroom. They're not just outside telling me what's going on, they are active in the classroom. So that also requires management, because that's an extra set of bodies that you need to work with and get into the classroom. Ultimately, you have to look at your community partner as a part of the teaching team. They are bringing expertise in a domain that, in my case, I am not an expert in. I don't know enough about hunger or poverty or drug abuse or any other broad social challenge to be the expert in the classroom. That's why they are there, to provide the students with something different. So yeah, community partners are part of the teaching team. Of all of this, what I would suggest that needs to be done is managing of expectations is absolutely essential in this type of a classroom. Managing the community partners' expectations so they know that the project is not going to be complete by the end of the semester. It's the beginning of a process. Letting them know that there is a chance that none of the students are going to be interested in continuing this after the course is done. Because that has happened in one particular project, none of the students wanted to continue it. Another project that was discontinued wasn't because of the students discontinuing it, the partner didn't want to do it anymore because they felt that they didn't have the resources to do it. So managing the community partners' expectations is huge. Managing the students' expectations is absolutely essential. Reminding them constantly that I'm not expecting them to finish a fully functional website or mobile app. I'm expecting them to solve a problem. And those are two very different things. Finally, managing my own expectations. Because I'm often engaged with the community partner for 3 to 6 months prior to the course, I come into the course, I'm like, yeah, this is going to be so awesome. And sometimes the students are like, it's all right, whatever. So sometimes, sometimes it hurts my heart a little bit. I'm like, what do you mean you're not that excited about this? This is amazing. And there's also the idea that you get students who, they push back on this idea because why am I doing this? Why aren't you just teaching me how to build typical software? This is stupid. And so there's that you have to get, so you get a little bit emotionally involved with this, and sometimes it hurts your heart a little bit. So managing expectations, absolutely. This is like, for best practices, these are absolutely essential things that you need to do in a community engaged course.
Just almost from the student's perspective, I was also one of those students that Dan asked at the end of the course, like, are you proud of what you did? And my response was kind of like, yeah, maybe, no, not really. But it's a bittersweet thing, because it's not that I'm not proud of what I accomplished. It's that my expectations for myself in this course and how much I believed in the project, I wanted to do so much more. And so it's unlike another course if someone said, yeah, I'm not proud of my project. This course, most individuals that say they're not proud of their project is because they didn't think they brought it to fruition. They didn't think they were able to do everything they could, and we can give them the opportunity to continue working on that project. And more often than not, they end up being proud of it.
And kind of like, how cool is that the students are so engaged that they're disappointed they didn't finish an assignment? Like, that's kind of cool. Like, that's not something I typically get in a classroom. If a student doesn't finish an assignment, they're like, there you go, and they move on. But in this case, they're so engaged that they actually feel like they've let me down and let the community partner down because of their connection to it. So that to me is like super awesome.
Yeah, I think that's one of the almost the best things about community engaged scholarship, that in any other course, if I didn't quite finish a project, it's, as long as I got an okay mark, because at the end of the day, my project is going in the garbage. It's not being used for anything else. It's a project just to prove how much I know. In this case, I want to prove how much I know, and I want to evaluate and develop a good product, but I know it's not going in the garbage at the end of the day. I know I'm not using an entire classroom of manpower and of human resources to build websites semester after semester to show that you can build a website and then have those websites go straight into the trash.
Okay, so the last part, and hopefully, I'm not sure how much time we have left, but hopefully we'll be able to have a little bit of a discussion here, is some of the things that I see as outstanding issues with community-engaged learning. So, can you forward it to the next slide? Good, thanks. So, some of the things that still need to be explored. There are issues around intellectual property rights. Now, this one is mostly managed at the University of Guelph. Anything that the students create in the classroom, my understanding is that they own the intellectual property rights. Because we're working with community partners who are charitable organizations and not-for-profits, the students typically they don't have a problem with the fact that their intellectual property is being used to do better in the community. Nobody's making money off of these projects. So the students typically don't have an issue. If, however, students do have an issue, I have to give them some other project to work on. So this is another thing that you have to manage as running a community-engaged learning classroom. You have to be able to provide the students an alternative if they are fundamentally against doing this kind of work. To date, nobody has been against doing this kind of work, so even though I have little projects in the back of my mind, I've never had to deal with them, which has been awesome. Forced volunteerism. I have had students at the end of the semester go, oh, Dr. Gillis, he's a jerk because he made me do this work and I do my own volunteering. And that's all great and wonderful, but to be perfectly honest, the students who have complained about that typically are there's only been a small number of them, and they typically have been the ones who haven't done well in the course to begin with. So I feel like it's not the volunteerism that they're having a problem with, they're having a problem with me, but it is still something that needs to be considered.
It's almost a little like ironic and hypocritical as well. It's like the second that you have to build something and put it in the garbage, they're fine with that, but somebody's going to use my product? Like, no, I want to get paid. So it's a little weird.
Selecting of the community partner is a topic that needs more work, and it sort of ties in together with ethical considerations. So there is potential pushback, or there could be potential pushback from the students. If I were to bring a topic to the classroom and I ask the students to work with a particular community partner, and there are students in the classroom who are fundamentally opposed to what that community partner is trying to achieve, how do we address that? How do we deal with those ethical considerations? Maybe it's a religious issue. Maybe it's, they're just fun. Maybe they're, a big Trump supporter and they just don't want to help anybody. I don't know. We have to deal with those types of things in the classroom and provide other opportunities for the students in that situation. The last two is, I don't know if this is common here or not, but class size continues to get larger and larger and larger. And managing this type of a project in a big classroom is a challenge. And then we've finally got the long-term sustainability. Who's responsible for this code once the students have finished writing it and have moved on? Does the community partner take it over? They don't have the resources to begin with, so can we rely on them? Should we rely on them to take it over? Should we make this a burden for them? Or is there some other way? So what I'd like to do is I would like, I'm not sure, how much time do we have? 15? Oh, perfect, okay. So I'd like to maybe have you in your, maybe in bigger than two, get together into groups, pick one of these topics, and what I want you to do is talk about potential ways of addressing these particular challenges. And the reason I want to do this is because I need help figuring out how to address some of these challenges. So you can pick any of these, or if you think that there's another one based on the conversation we've had so far, use that. And I just want you to brainstorm some ideas about how we might address some of these issues that come with a community-engaged classroom. Yep.
I'm sorry. So in addition to these outstanding problems, I would like to add one that I'm also facing, is that how do we engage the community partners?
Perfect. Absolutely.
So the thing that I'm thinking about is that the community partners might be within your sections, so that you pick some of the easier ones to work with the students. But also, usually the problem that I'm facing is that I would have to talk to government officers, but they are kind of, lack of interest in something, so that I'll need to bring them to be engaged into some of the national projects and so on.
Right.
So, and they don't really, come up with the requirements or something that you can communicate with, so that's gonna screw up everything. So, and the second thing is that you're talking about the class size, but the thing is that I'm thinking about this kind of class. This should not only be in the computer science, but also in other disciplines too. So have you any experience in doing this kind of teaching in other disciplinary classes?
Yes. Actually, I'm glad you asked that. So one of the other courses that I teach at the University of Guelph with my colleague Shoshana Jacobs is a course called Ideas Congress, or ICON for short. And in that course, what we do is we bring together students from any discipline. So we have, so far we've had first years, third years, fourth years, and fifth years in the same classroom, upwards of 26 different disciplines represented in the classroom, spanning social sciences, spanning art, physical and engineering sciences, agriculture, like all the different colleges that we have on campus. And we have this classroom where we've got 40 to 50 students from these 26 or so odd different majors. And we have a similar project where a community partner comes in and the students have to work together in transdisciplinary teams to achieve some goal for that community partner. And so, yeah, I've been very fortunate that we've had this experience with other disciplines, and some of the exercises that I have, I've been pulling them from different disciplines as I've learned more about those disciplines to present and engage students in a way to help them open their minds up to other ways of understanding the world. So yeah, and very fortunate that I've been able to do that.
Yeah. I've also had the fantastic opportunity of being in both of these classes and TAing both these classes, and Ideas Congress is almost like level 2 after this class. Like, this is the scope of computer science, but the second we get more and more disciplines represented in the classroom, the more we have to focus on all those activities that we did earlier in the day, and the more we have to focus on collaboration and communication, and it really takes longer until anyone's actually building a product or building a system, because we almost have to break down their walls and teach them how to work interdisciplinary first.
I'm thinking about propagating this teaching idea to the other faculties of different disciplines.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what we do with this particular course, with ICON, we have other faculty members get engaged, because in order for the students to be signed into the program, they have to have a counselor or an advisor from their own discipline say, yes, they can take this course using this course code. So there's no specific course code for them to take ICON. What they have to do is they sign up through an independent study course within their own discipline. So Nick did it through Computer Science 4900, but one of my other students did it through Geography 4900. And then I've had students doing it through Math 4600, and there's IDev 3500 or something. So every student is taking it with a different course code, and they require an advisor from that discipline to help get them into it and be part of the course. They're not all as engaged in it, but they do recognize the utility of the course.
Yeah, it's certainly difficult logistically. I haven't been involved in the logistics of it, but even just watching what Dan has had to be through, pull this course together, it is a bit of a logistical nightmare to get, because every student in that class gets a different credit, and so we have to find some sort of curriculum that teaches them all these things that still satisfies what they would get in their credit, like their credit for their own.
所以我都不用中场暂停。
中午再中途暂停就好了。
哦，好，那我赶快把它打开。
其实你现在没关系啦，不用急。我说就是你说按来按去，但是你就停了，就等到中场再开就好了。
哦，
大家其实很多人在看直播，都不知道现在这个状况，所以他会放着等，就算休息他放着等也没差。你找到线了？
我这个对不对？我跟 C Joker 要的。
然后就好很多了。
但是我现在有个问题是，为什么我的直播会是这个？
那个请他们那个讯号啊， 就是现在冲突那个问题有没有？
嗯，
他们等一下处理掉就不会有了，因为他们会抢你的讯号。
哦，他们会抢我的讯号。
对，
好，然后我刚刚把口译室的那台电脑自己本身的那个麦克风关掉是可以的，对不对？
内建麦克风。
内建麦克风关掉。
OK 啊，但是为什么要关掉？
因为刚刚 Stella 说会听得到他们聊天的声音，但他们耳机的麦克都关了，然后我们就一直在找，然后就发现说好像是那个笔电麦克风。
他们那个里面应该要选一下那个。
如果错了还是会跟我。先跟你讲关掉。
明天会另外一个声音送给你。那这次要特别就是镜头啊，那你要是电脑出来的话，你有没有去电脑？
questioning that as well on my end. It looks pretty good. I mean, right now it's running great. Hi everyone. How's everybody doing? Man. Day one. It's day one of the g0v Summit, yes.
So this is going to be the setup we're using tomorrow.
Okay.
I think you can hear me, then yeah. Then we will
So the plan.
Do you need to see?
So the plan is that. Sorry, go ahead.
Do you need to see the face of other panelists, or is just the audience?
I mean, it'd be nice to see the panelists as well, but whatever's easiest for you guys. I'm pretty flexible.
Oh, I'm having a microphone here. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
The panelists will be talking with microphones. So about this volume. I think. About regarding the format, I have written in the email we need the recording for 15 minutes, and each of the panelists will have 15 minutes for their presentation. So we'll start.
Yeah.
We will start Skype connection right after each of you have presented to begin the Q&A session. And since the Q&A session, well, ideally Q&A session should the video should focus on the one who is speaking now. But I'm not sure if we can have that kind of control. And we need someone to handle the camera.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I mean, the way I would say it is, I mean, whatever, if it's possible, it would be great to see, like, if whoever else is presenting, I'd love to see their presentations, and when people are responding, yeah, it'd be great if the camera could shift to whoever's talking, but if that's not possible, if this is what works, let's stick with what works. That's not too complicated.
Okay, so that's it. Nice meeting you.
Thank you as well. My hope is, this has just been a very busy week for me. My hope is to put together the presentation and send it to you at some point tomorrow, probably 5-ish, hopefully, fingers crossed, it should be done by 5 or 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which would be 5 or 6 a.m. Saturday, your time. Not a ton of time for translation around. I apologize, it's probably the fastest to you. But yes.
Okay. Then that's it. Sounds good.
All right. So, and just to understand the format, I believe from Audrey's email, the idea was for me to send my presentation first, so it would just be played, and then each of the panelists will present, and then after all the panelists are done, then we do a Q&A, or is it Q&A after each presentation?
The Q&A will be after all presentations. So you will have we will have 4 presentations consecutively, and then Q&A session for everyone. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great.
Okay, then that's it. See you tomorrow.
The other question, I guess, is what time should we connect tomorrow? The presentation starts at 3:30. But my assumption is that we would want to connect before then to make sure the audio connection is good.
잠깐만. 잘 되고요.
天他要远端。在线里，你的便当呢？
吃掉了。
干嘛蒸便当来这边就有得吃？
坏掉了，放哪去？跟我电脑排在一起。我们还有摊位啊。刚我们问 CYJ 在站什么摊，他说你们的摊。
黑脸的吧？口译说杂音还是很重。
3 o'clock?
那你
Okay.
这边会吗？
我这边要怎么听杂音重不重？我有耳机。
Just make sure that I got it right. 3:30 actually. The session starts at
Okay.
We'll start at 3:30 tomorrow, and like I said, we will have. I will do a short introduction to each of you, and then we'll do the presentation. The presentation will be on the other computer, so I will connect to you about when the presentation is going to end. I will connect to you first with Skype, and when the QA session starts, I will switch to my computer and switch to this setup. So if each of you will use like 15 minutes, it will take an hour. So we should start. I will call you about 4 o'clock or 4:20.
Would it be possible for me to hear the other presentations?
If you want, then I can connect. Then we can have a Skype call at 3:30 when the session starts,
Okay.
so you can hear all of them, and you can also see the audience. And
Sweet.
yeah.
I think that sounds good. That sounds good to me that way, because it'd be great to hear the other presentations as well, and that will hopefully inform. Well, one, I'm just really interested to hear what the other panelists have to say, and two, it could inform in terms of the questions and answers. It help me frame some of the answers I have within the context of what other people have said.
Okay.
Excellent.
Nice. Then I think that's about it. Any other questions?
Just to confirm, it is currently around 11:20 in the morning
Yes.
of Friday for you guys, right? I just want to make sure I have the time difference right.
That's right. 11.
Okay, so it's 12 hours. Okay, I thought so. It's a 12-hour time difference. So right now it's about 11:20 p.m. here in Ottawa. So I just wanted to make sure I got the time difference right.
Okay.
Excellent. I think that's it. I will send you the material as soon as I have it finished tomorrow. And I'm really looking forward to connecting Saturday, bright and early Saturday morning at 3:30 in the morning. And it's actually a fun, interesting bit of Canadian cultural knowledge. This weekend is actually a holiday in Canada. It's Thanksgiving weekend, so it's a big family holiday. So I'm actually heading home this weekend to see my family, my parents and cousins and aunts and uncles and stuff. So, yeah, fun little side story. Awesome. Good luck with the rest of the day, guys, and I'm really looking forward to connecting in about a day and a half.
Okay. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thanks.
Sounds good. Take care.
Take care.
So it means that as soon as you have any kind of question, like there is some concept that is not clear, there is some idea that is not clear, my English is not clear, or I'm speaking quite fast, that happens quite often, please raise your hand and let's engage in a discussion. I have planned to have around 10-20 minutes in the end for an open discussion about what I'm going to present here. But please interrupt me at any moment, as much as we can, so we can have a productive session. Okay? So after that introduction of the workshop, let me introduce myself. I'm a PhD fellow at the Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning Group in Universidad Pompeu Fabra in Barcelona. I'm also working part-time as a data scientist at the Big Data and Data Science Group in Eurecat, which is the Center of Technology of Catalonia. And within those institutions, I have been actively collaborating with Decidim Barcelona, which is the platform for citizen participation in the city. And right now I'm coordinating the Laboratory of Democratic Innovation that started because of this project of civic technology. But I'm also been collaborating quite actively with Participa Lab, Media Lab Prado in Madrid, also to trying to help in the understanding on how the platform, the site Madrid, works. And some of the ideas I'm going to present in this research, in this talk, is based on research in these two platforms. Well, the motivation of this workshop, which is the motivation of my PhD research, is the emergence of platforms for democratic processes, which engage a large number of citizens for online debates, for online petitions, for crowd law, for accountability. I think here in Taiwan you have great examples of these kind of technologies and how we have been developing platforms for improving our democracy, and how now there is a web-based democracy aspect. But I also think that we are also aware, or most of us we are aware, that platforms are not neutral. Like platform affordances, which are the totality of possibilities they offer, are often seen as technical features, like the design of the platform, the algorithms that you code for the platform, the way you present information, how you sort it, the opportunities to interact between users, they must be seen as technical. And most of the times, these decisions are taken by programmers or people in the head of those programmers because they are technical. But we're talking about platforms for democracy. So by definition, any technical feature in a platform for digital democracy has a strong social and political implications. Any intervention that we do in a platform is able to affect the democratic scope of the process that is being hosted in such platform. So to illustrate that idea, I'm going to present, maybe not. I think it touched a cable with my, yeah, that works. Yeah. So I'm going to present two case studies, one about affordances in online discussion platforms, and in particular about the effect of conversation threaded in a platform.
搜索会要的状况，通讯监察刚刚有稍微点到，那基本上分两类，一类是犯罪通讯监察，一类是情报通讯监察。那犯罪通讯监察目前依通报法的规定，就是通讯保障监察法的规定，它每年都要做年报，对外揭露。司法院的网站上去搜寻通讯监察年报。 你就可以找得到这些数据，基本上是很难用的数据。说很难用的原因是长这样，因为大家如果有在做资料分析，一定会知道，就是大家最喜欢的 PDF 档。对，所以基本上你只能一个一个把它手动踢印下去这样子。好，那情报通讯监察就是所谓国安机关在做的通讯监察，目前是通报法说是针对境外势力，但基本上也可以。 如果你是设想的仔细一点的话，某种程度上监督境外势力，可能也会监听到本国人民啦。那，但如果这部分的统计，目前它只提供给立法院，它不对外揭露。那在9月初的时候的公听会，那国安局给的理由是，如果它对外揭露了，比如说它对外揭露 我们有监听10个案件，然后其实敌方的情报组织会想说，其实我在境内有20个情报单位，那我有10个人被监听到的话，那我是不是要重新部署一下我的那个整个情报收集的状况？所以这个东西因为这样的之类的考量，所以可能会影响到情报收集的动作，它不适合对外揭露，就只给立法院。这是他的理由啦，就是大家可以想看这样的理由合不合理。那一般实务上的见解，这是比较有趣的地方，就是等一下可能你会稍微带到的地方。通保法目前一般实务上的见解，多半是认为通信记录跟通讯使用者资料，比如说大家去跟，就是你打电话或者是你用网络，你的 IP 是什么，你连上什么网站，这些资料，所以metadata，它基本上是跟电信只规范跟电信业有关的资料，也就是说电信业存下来的才算，电信业没存下来的不算。所以 LINE 跟 Google 跟 PC Home 之类的电商，这些电商不是电信业，所以它不归通保法管。尽管它提供了Gmail，提供了通讯服务，对，提供了其他的可能跟通讯有关的东西，但它基本上不归通保法规范。不归通保法规范的意思是说，它被保护的密度没那么高，被保护的程度没那么高，它是透过一般检察官的搜索票就可以去进行搜索的状况，甚至透过函调就可以调得到的状况，只要企业愿意配合的话。那不好意思，我想把它按到这里。好，那而且现在在今年的5月，它有另外一个最高法院的判决是说，这个通保法基本上也不规范过去已经结束的通讯内容。什么叫过去已经结束的通讯内容？就顾名思义，就是你的 Gmail 内文，Gmail 信件存在那个